and maneuvered her 10-speed out from the racks of flower pots and bags of potting soil. Jess rode south on Industrial Way, listening to Arcade Fire, into a light headwind carrying the scent of melting plastic and depot garbage. The traffic was light. She passed by warehouses and factories and forklifts unloading trucks, and parking lots full of vehicles and small groups of workers huddled together smoking and talking. She smelled pot. By the time she reached the 4-kilometer marker, the billboards for Molson Canadian and Trojan Rib condoms, the bottle depot on the opposite side, her head was clear. And when she arrived at the strip mall on the outskirts of the city, she felt surprisingly invigorated and couldn't help but smile at her first unregrettable act of the day. There were mostly trucks and vans in the parking lot, all sorts of blue-collar types filing in and out of the Tim Hortons, Subway, and CIBC. She rode up on the curb and got off her bike and placed it in the empty bike rack in front of the bank. Inside, the queues were short, and she only had to wait a minute. The teller, Samantha, was in her 30s, perfect white teeth that reminded Jess of her porcelain toilet. Jess ran her tongue over her teeth, feeling wine residue. Overcooking the artificial pleasantries, Samantha counted out 7 $100 bills and handed them to Jess. As Jess left the bank, she wondered if she could stand standing behind a counter all day dispensing money like an ATM. She wouldn't like it, but at least she'd have job security and benefits and no drunks ogling her or pawing her thighs and arms at Dino's sports pub where she worked. She spotted Milan's van on the other side of the parking lot as she removed her 10-speed from the rack. He sat in the driver's seat, and in the passenger seat sat a woman wearing a purple beret and large dark sunglasses. They were just staring out the windshield. Jess thought about heading over to give them the rent now, save her a disturbance later, but she decided not to interrupt them. Maybe it was his lover and they were having a spat. She'd been there before. On the ride home, heavy traffic sped along Industrial Way in both directions. A few times, vehicles whooshed past so closely she could have reached out and touched them. With it being 12:30, it was the lunch hour rush. They worked regular jobs. After the wind from an 18-wheeler almost sent her careening off her bike, she slowed down and stayed as close to the ditch as possible. And 10 minutes later, she turned right into her driveway. Mr. Holt's green Ford pickup was parked beside her Beetle in the part of the driveway that stretched alongside the warehouse, reserved for the flat's tenants. The truck's hood was up, and Mr. Holt was leaning over the passenger fender. They'd only spoken a few times, and this was the first time she'd seen him in a month. She thought maybe he'd been away visiting family or something. Dead even crossed her mind one night after she drank too much.